Welcome to the Utah Board of Water Resources. We're glad everybody is here today. Those visiting with us, welcome. I am Mike Davis, over the Provo Drainage and the chair of the board.
My name's Dana Van Horn. I represent the Upper Colorado District.
And I'm William Merkley. I represent the Green River District.
I'm Blaine Ibsen. I represent the Sevier River system.
Juliette Tunnert, representing Salt Lake and Tooele.
Brian Steed, representing the Great Salt Lake.
And our director.
Great. Candace Haseneger, and our staff with us today is Joel Williams, Shalane DiBernardi, Marisa Egbert, Tom Cox, Ben Marett, Bradley Caldwell, Ethan Stayner, Eric Dixon, Ani Baynard's online, and then we also have Jessica Chen, Shannon Clow taking minutes. Thank you, Shannon. Sarah Schechter from our AG's office. Edward Mueller is the deputy water agent, and then our amazing AV team, Carmen McDonald and Seth Majors.
Thank you. For information, board member Tim Hawks is not in attendance today, and board member Spencer Jones will join us a little bit later online. He's not here yet. Okay, first item on the agenda, our approval of the minutes of the last meeting. Do we have any concerns or questions pertaining to the minutes? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes for the Board of Water Resources meeting for June 26, 2025 as presented.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Seconded by board member Steed. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
I don't think so. Spencer's not online yet, so I don't think.
Okay. All right, thank you. We'll dive right in to the feasibility reports. The first item on the agenda, RE 499 Lake Creek Irrigation Company. Ben Marett, if you'd come up, Ben, and please introduce the project to us. I will say we have some guests here from Lake Creek Irrigation. They're invited to come up to the front. Greg McPhee, Devin McCrolla, and is this Nathan Davis? Okay, I didn't know you, so I apologize, but welcome to all of you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the board. We got the Lake Creek Irrigation Company here with us today. The Lake Creek Irrigation Company's service area is located about 4 miles east of Heber in Wasatch County. The company was founded in 1890, and they service approximately 1,600 acres of agricultural ground across 367 shareholders. They also serve 287 secondary connections directly. The Twin Creeks Special Service District is a shareholder in Lake Creek Irrigation Company, and they use their shares to service an additional 720 secondary irrigation connections in addition to drinking water. They've got a proposed project here before us today to address a number of issues. They have ongoing issues with pressure deficiencies in the system. Water modeling shows that this pipeline here along 1200 South that you see there on the map, there's excessive velocity, which leads to non-laminar flow in the pipeline and causes loss of pressure. They have a growth as part of their water master plan, which includes conversion of some degree of conversion of agricultural ground to residential. And the pipelines that they have on here, the 30-inch and the 24-inch, will accommodate growth and conversion. As the system converts from agriculture to secondary, there's different pressure or demand patterns, and excuse me, this will help them to meet those demands. Their current system they divert water from Lake Creek and it goes into Heber Light and Power Pond, and neither the diversion structure nor the pond have a screening structure on the entrance. And so that allows for a lot of debris and growth to enter the system, and that causes clogs, and it causes water quality issues for end users. Additionally, the diversion structure it's old and needs to be repaired or replaced. And to address these issues, they're proposing that they replace the diversion structure. They're going to install a screen on it. They want to install 6,000 feet of 30-inch line, or rather they're going to replace an existing 16-inch line with a 30-inch line. They were going to replace approximately 6,500 feet of 16-inch line with 24-inch line. And then they're going to install about 2,000 feet of 16-inch pipeline loop, which is that upward branch off of the main line you see there. And that system loop is going to help them to, address some of their pressure deficiencies. They're also going to be replacing an old pressure reducing valve and installing a system meter. Benefits to the system, you can see those are listed here. They'll have additional capacity. The decreasing head loss is going to help them to address pressure deficiencies in the larger pipeline diameter, and the loop will also address pressure deficiencies. They'll have better water quality because of the screening structure, and they'll also they'll conserve some water because of loss, or they'll eliminate evaporation from the pond, percolation in the soil, and then they'll have a higher conveyance efficiency through a new pipeline that is hopefully not leaking. The proposed project is estimated cost $10,170,000. Because of the secondary and agricultural mixed use of the system, we have a prorated interest rate 1.26%. Their estimated economic benefit from the project due to increased crop production is about $407,000. And based on this 85 and 15% cost share, it's recommended that their repayment be set at 85% of the economic benefit that they receive from the project. And so that comes out to about $346,000. And so the $346,000 in combination with the 1.26% interest, that comes out to about approximately a 30-year repayment on that loan. And then the benefit to cost ratio on the project, so the cost of the project and the economic benefits that they'll receive, comes out to 2, which is fabulous. 2 exactly. And staff recommends that the board authorize 85% of the project cost, up to $8,645,000, and that the project be purchased at 1.26% interest over 30 years, with annual payments of approximately $347,800. And that is staff's report.
Thank you, Ben. Are there questions for Ben on this? I have one question. You mentioned on the loop on the map that the one line headed to the north, the 16-inch pipeline, does that connect into another system pipe then?
Yeah, that connects to a lower pressure zone in the system. The system is
Okay.
divided up into a number of pressure zones. There is one connection there at 3600 east, but the 16-inch loop will create a second connection to the system, which helps.
Okay. Would the applicant like to present anything?
Board members, thank you. Greg McPhee, President, Lake Creek Irrigation. Appreciate your time and your willingness to look at this, and we hope you can help us out. I think he presented it well. Thank you.
Any questions from the applicant, from the board? Seeing none, board would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that the board authorize 85% of the project cost, up to $8,645,000, and that the project be purchased at 1.26% interest over 30 years with annual payments of approximately $347,800.
Thank you. We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
The motion was given by Blaine Ipson, second by Dana Van Horn. All in favor of the project, vote aye.
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 Any opposed? Project passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Okay, the next item on the agenda, committal of funds, RE 472, Davis and Weber Counties Canal Company, Tom Cox, and we have Rick Smith here with us. I think, Rick, we get to see you more often than anybody else we get to see besides the staff and the board here, so good to see you.
That's either good or bad, right?
It's good.
Mr. Chair and members of the board, the Davis-Weber County's Canal Company has been before the board multiple times for improvements to its main water conveyance system, the Davis-Weber Canal, as well as funding to install and improve its secondary water system, and most recently is for grant money for the water meter installation. So, if you can look at the map that shows a little segment of the 17 or so mile long Davis-Weber Canal, at several points along the canal there are discharge points where the company can release water in case of emergency. In this particular one, don't know if the mouse, if that will show up. It doesn't look like it's showing up. So along that line it's an old penstock from a decommissioned hydroelectric plant that the district uses to discharge water into the Weber River. So the dashed most left part is the pipeline that runs down the hill. The canal's up on top of the hill just by a Hill Air Force Base. Then it discharges into open channel that flows into the river. The penstock is an old, well, actually it's dual. There's two pipelines, steel riveted pipeline that were installed in around 1910. And over the years it's deteriorated. It's rusting through in places. The concrete foundation for the pipeline is deteriorating. And so unless something is done, there's a possibility of that point failing when water is released through that. So the canal company is before the board today to receive a committal of funds for the project that the board authorized almost 2 years ago. So the project will be to remove and replace the steel pipeline with HDPE pipe and make improvements to the open channel portions of the discharge. So for the proposed cost sharing, it's proposed that the board provide 85% of the project cost up to $999,000. Staff recommends the board commit 85% of the project cost up to the $999,000. The project be purchased at 0% interest over 20 years with annual payments of approximately $50,000. So this money will be coming from the revolving construction funds that warrants the 0% interest. It should be noted that the project will not save any water because it's just the discharge channel. And so there's no water saved. There'll be no increase in revenue to the company. So it's felt that the maximum years from the revolving construction fund is warranted. That's why it's a 20-year repayment schedule. So, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, that's staff's report.
Thank you, Tom. Are there any questions pertaining to this project, Tom? Applicant, would you like to add to this?
Yes, again, thank you. I saw your work meeting, and if it weren't for us, I don't know if what Tom would have done for the last 30 years. Between our secondary and our canal system, we have spent tens of millions of dollars of improvements since the breach of 1999, and as well as the establishment of our secondary system. But again, we appreciate the state's funding on this project, and we are going gung-ho on it and ready to go.
Great. Thank you, Rick. Does the board have any more questions? If not, Chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would move that the board commit 85% of the project cost, up to $999,000, and that the project be purchased at 0% interest over 20 years with annual payments of approximately $50,000.
Thank you, Board Member Merkley. Is there a second? Blaine Ipson, second. All in favor of the project, vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Project passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Rick. Good to have you here. It's good to always see you. Anytime. And as usual, I forgot something that Director Hassenjager's reminding me. There were no online comments today for any of the projects on the agenda. Thank you. Okay. Next project will be RE 495 Co-op Farm Irrigation Company. Ethan Stayner is our presenter from staff. And it does not appear we have anybody online with us.
But they're not required.
But they're not required. Okay.
Yeah, a note about that, they're not required, but they're opening bids at 2 p.m., so they're kind of in a busy spot right now, but so they might join, maybe it sounds like they're not, but.
Okay.
Keep an eye out for them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Co-op Farm Irrigation Company, RE 495. And this is near Huntsville. As I said in the briefing meeting, they've been great to work with. All their funding requirements have been met between the engineer, Brian Dieter, and the past president, Ed Rich. They kind of showed us around during the investigation meeting and have been helpful and responsive. And then the new president, Paul Joyce, and vice president, Bill White, they've all been really helpful and responsive to get the requirements figured out before committal of funds. And so this one, as you know, it's coming from the revolving construction fund. The total cost to co-op is $1,994,000, and the board share is $348,000. And then we authorized this in May. And so just some notes on the project. The purpose of the project is to replace the shared conveyance system that they share with Huntsville South Bench Canal Company. The co-op portion contains about 14,000 feet of 20-inch and 24-inch HDPE pipe. There's an additional 4,250 feet of their system that was some 6-inch HDPE pipe that will be replaced, and this allows them to be fully pressurized. There will be a new diversion structure on the South Fork of the Ogden River where they have a water right, and there's some water from that's wholesale through Weber Basin Water Conservancy District that goes through there as well. There'll be some turnouts replaced and upgraded and metered, and that actually goes into the question we had in the briefing about why the UDAF grants were separated. It actually wasn't because they were capped at 500,000. It was they had the initial one based off their initial cost estimate, and as they kind of got into design, there were some additional things they saw, some additional things they wanted to do with their turnouts, and then with adding meters to that and kind of metering their irrigation system. And so that kind of facilitated needing more funds, and then UDAF was willing to step in and provide those, and that was the one that was awarded this year, I believe in June. And so that's a note on that. And then, yeah, that's the project. They completed the requirements. The scope and schedule, as far as we're concerned, remain unchanged. All the line items are the same as authorization. And they're ready to begin in October following irrigation season. And going into the cost sharing. So the Board of Water Resources, as I mentioned, at $348,000. It's 17.5%. They have a water, energy, and efficiency grant through the Bureau of Reclamation that covers about 28%, and then there's those 2 UDAF grants that cover between 45%, maybe 44.5%, and then the applicant is covering just under 10%. So, yeah, the staff recommends the board commit 17.5% of the project cost, up to $348,000, and that the project be purchased at 0% interest over 15 years with annual payments of approximately $23,200. That's staff's report.
Thank you, Ethan. Are there any questions for Ethan on the project? Yes, Board Member Steed.
So Ethan, I sound like a broken record on this one. Is there any estimate on how much depletion this might result in, or is there additional depletion or water savings that way?
In their application, they mentioned that water savings was, I think it was $355. Let me find that, actually. Oh, $335. The estimated water conserved was $335, and I think that's probably about what it would be.
And that's on diversion savings, or is that on depletion?
Yeah, because that's like them getting more out of their system.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's about what that would be.
Okay.
But
thank you so much.
yeah, for sure.
Any other questions for Ethan? Yes. Board Member Tanner.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. And also thank you, Ethan, for the presentation and for the additional information. Appreciate that. And I was a bit late to our briefing meeting, so apologies if you spoke to this already. And also apologies because I should know this after serving on the board for so long, but I still am always trying to remember which interest rates we give which projects for what purposes. And so can you just go over the 0%, how that was derived one more time?
For sure. Because this is a company and not a municipality, that makes them eligible for the revolving construction fund. Another thing that makes them eligible for the revolving construction fund is the fact that the board's cost share is under $1 million. And then the revolving construction fund, those projects always have 0%. And so that's why they're, 0% comes in. So, yeah, for sure.
Any further questions? Seeing none, Chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that the board commit 17.5% of the project cost up to $348,000, and that the project be purchased at 0% interest over 15 years with annual payments of approximately $23,200.
Board Member Van Horn has given us a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Board Member Merkley. All in favor of the project, vote aye.
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 Any opposed?
Opposed.
Let it be shown that Board Member Steed opposed, Board Member Tennant opposed. Opposed. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. We still haven't seen Spencer, right? Okay. Next item on the agenda, RE 496, Huntsville South Bench Canal Company. Brad Caldwell, thank you for
All right. Mr. Chair and the board, good afternoon. RE 496 Huntsville South Bench Canal Company. This project is shared with Co-op Irrigation, RE 495. And so Huntsville South Bench Canal Company is pursuing a project to pressurize its irrigation system by installing approximately 18,400 feet of HDPE pipe, constructing a new diversion structure, and upgrading turnouts that will be installed with meters. The project will improve efficiency and conveyance of water from about 80% to 100%. It will also reduce seepage and operational costs, resulting in a more reliable delivery to both ag and residential users. And Huntsville, the presentation messed up a little. There we go. Okay. And Huntsville is in the same situation as Co-op for the UDOF grants, as they share the WEAG, but the UDAF are separated 50-50 because of change of scope of the project. So staff recommends the board commit 16.1% of the project cost up to $320,000, and that the project be purchased at 0% interest over 15 years with annual payments of approximately $21,350. That is staff's report.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Excuse me. Do we have any questions for Brad pertaining to this project? Board Member Steed.
Two questions. I'm curious, what's the division between ag and residential on this project? Do you know?
I don't have the exact numbers. I could get that info and email it to you if you'd like.
That's great. Thanks.
Okay.
The second question is just in terms of a follow-up on depletive numbers. Do we know, is this going to increase the amount of water depleted out of the system? Do we know?
That it is estimated, yes.
All right, thanks.
Any further questions? Seeing none, Chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would move that the board commit 16.1% of the project cost up to $320,000 and that the project be purchased at 0% interest over 15 years with annual payments of approximately $21,350.
Board Member Merkley has presented a motion. Is there a second? Seconded by Board Member Ibsen. All in favor of the project, vote aye.
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 Any opposed?
I'm opposed.
Opposed, let it be known. Board Member Steed, Board Member Tennant voted against the project. The project passes. Thank you. Okay, just for information purposes, we have some new applications. RE 500 Smithfield Irrigation Company and RE 501 Cash Highline Water Association. We'll see those projects in the future. So now we'll go to secondary meter ARPA grant return funds. Shalane DiBernardi is presenting.
Yes, good afternoon. We could get out of the presentation. Stop sharing slides. Nothing more to show you this afternoon. It's all in your packet now. As you all know, you as a board were able to authorize, commit, and contract for all of the ARPA grant funds you had available for secondary meters and alternative water conservation projects before the end of 2024. But now some applicants are actually completing their project under budget, and others have been deemed exempt due to changes in the law or various things that have allowed them to become exempt, which means some of these ARPA funds are being returned. Federal law allows the board to reallocate these funds for additional secondary meter projects to qualified applicants. And the Governor's Office of Planning and Budget has clarified that return funds cannot be reallocated for water conservation projects, But according to code, grants awarded in 2025 may not exceed 60% of project costs, while grants in 2026 may not exceed 50%. And the requirement to have all these funds spent by the end of 2026 still applies. In order to reallocate these returned funds at the 60% grant amount and allow staff and the board to complete the necessary processes, we are requesting that the board set a 5th application period and also require applicants to meet all board, state, and federal requirements necessary to enter into a contract at the time of application. It is important to note that all statutory requirements and limitations have not changed since the last application period. So secondary water providers who supply pressurized secondary water to end users are eligible to apply, and grants are only available for new secondary meters on connections that existed before May of 2022. So staff recommends that the board set a 5th application period of September 8th, 2025 through October 10th, 2025. And staff also recommends that the board state that only applicants who meet all the board, state, and federal requirements to receive ARPA grant funds at the time of application are eligible in this round. And that is staff's report.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Shalane? Yes. Board Member Merkley.
Mr. Chair, just one question. Shalane, you mentioned during the first round alternative water conservation projects. I think you answered this in the briefing meeting, but could you help me understand what kind of projects those might be?
Yes, so before, those were for entities who had completed metering projects before the law came into effect. So they had done it on their own. Maybe they had even received loan funds from this board, but had done it without ARPA grant funds. And so the code allowed for alternative water conservation projects. And that was as specific as the language got. So it was up to staff and the board to determine what eligible projects were. They just had to show that they would conserve water. And so we had everything from some, I believe some piped canals, others were landscape conversion for a city, or, for a city that had metered already. They said, let's rip out some non-functional turf in our parking strips and things like that. So there weren't a lot of them, but I believe there were about 12. I want to say between 12 and 15 who applied and received these alternative water conservation grants.
But what you're saying is in the 5th round, it's been clarified that it only
Yes.
secondary metering.
Exactly. For the returned funds, we cannot reallocate them for water conservation projects.
Thank you.
Just for meters.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, I have a question. So it looks like staff has 2 different recommendations.
Yes.
Are you looking for 2 separate motions on these then?
Yes, I don't mind if you make them together. But yes, we have made 2 recommendations. One is specifically for the application period, and then the other is for those requirements.
Any further questions? Board Member Tennant.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Shalane, could you talk to us a little bit about some of the thinking behind, and I'm not, the legislature's thinking, which I know, again, I don't expect you to necessarily.
Yeah, let me tell you what they thought.
Yeah, but you were around during the time of the conversations. The ratcheting down of the percent of, was it around like trying to make the money go as far as it could? Was it around like an incentive to get it done quickly?
Yes,
Okay.
I believe that was the incentive, was to try to get them moving quickly, get the money out the door early, projects in the ground as soon as possible.
All right, which makes sense, but then I think that, did we find that some of our participants were just having a hard time, like getting the meters,
Well, the biggest issue I think
Yeah.
we had in the beginning
Yeah.
was the original law had caps that maximized how much some of these larger applicants could
that's right.
get.
That's right, okay.
And so we couldn't even give them all they needed to begin with. So yeah, it until the law changed and raised those caps, we weren't able to get it all allocated to those who could actually use it.
Thank you. Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, there's always been a little question in our minds because I think the year 2027 is even in the code, and of course there's no money
Yeah, that's
for that.
I
but
have the code open right now, and I see 10% by 2030. But
yeah,
thank you.
I think it was in anticipation that maybe additional grant funds will become available, and so yes, let's get them done as soon as possible.
Mr. Chair.
Board Member Merkley.
Yeah, one follow-up question. I'm curious, so if they entered into a contract with the board several years ago, the percentage that we were able to contribute was higher, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. The first round was 70%.
Now, is that locked in at the time of contract, or is it associated with when they actually do the project?
Nope, it is locked in at the time of award.
At the time of award?
Yes. Okay. So it applies to that project for as long as that project takes. Just the funds have to be spent by the end of 2026.
I was just thinking about, if you locked in a higher rate and then for whatever reason, whatever purpose, the project got extended, you're still able to have, say, 80% of your project covered.
Yeah, and the one thing with all of these is they've all had an expiration date of December 31st, 26, because
Since the
that's,
beginning.
yep, from
Understood.
the very beginning.
Thank you.
Any further questions? The chair will note that Board Member Spencer Jones has joined us online. Welcome, Spencer. Glad you're here. With him being online, our vote will be a roll call vote as we vote. So the chair would entertain a motion.
I'll try to combine them into one motion.
Thank you, Board Member Steed.
I move that we set a fifth application period of September 8th, 2025 through October 10th, 2025, and further move that only applicants who meet all of the board, state, and federal requirements to receive ARPA grant funds at the time of application are eligible in this round.
Thank you. We have a motion from Board Member Steed. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
That is seconded by Board Member Jones. We will do a roll call vote.
Great. Board Member Van Horn.
Aye.
Board Member Merkley.
Aye.
Board Member Ipson.
Aye.
Board Member Tennert.
Aye.
Board Member Steed.
Aye.
And Board Member Jones.
Aye.
That is unanimous and affirmative.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next agenda item we will discuss now is the Lake Powell pipeline update and contract amendment requests. Eric Dixon will be presenting. Thank you, Eric.
Thanks. Thanks, Mr. Chair, members of the board. First, I'll just give you kind of a brief update. You've got this information in your packets. I'll go through the items there. There continues to be the issue with coming to resolution on the Colorado River between the basin states. That's kind of what put the Lake Powell pipeline into its slow mode that it's currently in, and it continues on that until that resolution is made. With that, the areas kind of had to pivot, and right now they've done a lot of focus on reclamation or conservation and then reuse of the water down there. They've got some very expensive projects that are going in to get the reuse improvements for the water down there. So, they've been able to do some things to get, a couple more decades of use of the water that they have down there and get it developed as they continue to grow. And as far as the other things, the Bureau of Reclamation, when all the issues with the river started, they've, that's when things slowed down, and they continue to just have minimized work on the Lake Powell pipeline, basically just kind of waiting for that resolution to get completed. There's been a little bit of work going on with the ethnographic study update, where the Kaibab band down there wanted us to look at another little alternative in one of the alignments. So that's kind of been slow going, but they've been helping with that and working on that just to get that analysis of the ethnographic studies. And then the contract status, the Bureau of Reclamation has a task order, and that's set to expire September 30th. So we'll talk about one of the recommendations we have to extend that for another 2 years. And then the Stantec contract, with as our consultant, theirs is set to expire at the end of this year. So proposing another extension for that for 2 more years. And no changes are needed with the Bureau of Land Management Cost Recovery Agreement or the Kaibab Band of Paiute Indians. So with that information, staff recommends that the board amend the contract with the Bureau of Reclamation for 2 additional years until September 30th, 2027 to continue the work on the task order, and no additional funds will be provided for this amendment. And staff also recommends the board amend the contract with Stantec for 2 additional years until December 31st, 2027 to continue the work approved in 2020. And on this, and no additional funds will be provided for this amendment. Are there any questions?
Are there any questions for Eric? Seeing none, the chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that the board amend the contract with Stentec for 2 additional years until December 31st, 2027 to continue the work approved in 2020. No additional funds will be provided in this amendment.
Thank you, Board Member Jones. We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Board Member Van Horn. We'll do a roll call vote.
Great. Board Member Van Horn.
Aye.
Board Member Merkley.
Aye.
Board Member Ibsen.
Aye.
Board Member Tender.
Aye.
Board Member Steed.
Aye.
And Board Member Jones.
Aye.
And then there's a second motion.
That vote is affirmative. We still have a section of this one that needs a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion that the board amend the contract with the Bureau of Reclamation for 2 additional years until September 30th, 2027 to continue work in the task order. No additional funds will be provided for this amendment.
Thank you, Board Member Van Horn. We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
That's seconded by Board Member Merkley. Roll call vote.
Board Member Van Horn.
Aye.
Board Member Merkley.
Aye.
Board Member Ibsen.
Aye.
Board Member Tennant.
Aye.
Board Member Steed.
Aye.
And Board Member Jones.
Aye.
Voting is unanimous. Thank you.
Thanks.
Item passes. Thank you, Eric. Next item on the agenda will be the Green River Block Water Right Contract. Sarah, are you going to present on this? You are. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Sarah Schechter, the AG's office. I gave you the background on this issue earlier this morning, but just a quick summary. Mr. Kent Rame applied for a fixed time change of his segregated portion of the Green River Block water right. This application triggers the need for a third-party contract between him and the board. And your materials include the contract, which will also serve as a template for future third-party contracts. I recommend the board approve the third-party contract for the payment to the Bureau of Reclamation of fees associated with the Green River Block water rights as to form, and to allow the board officers to enter third-party contracts as the obligation arises. That is my report. Are there questions?
Any questions for Sarah from the board? Yes, Board Member Merkley.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to state that because the Water Conservancy District that I represent is party to the contract, that I'll need to recuse myself from the vote. But also, I just wanted to state publicly, as I did this morning, just thanking Sarah and her team for all of the work that they have done to answer questions that have been lingering for a number of years. So, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any further questions? Seeing none, the chair would entertain a motion.
So, Mr. Chair, I'll move.
Board Member Steed.
I'd move that the board approve the third-party contract for the payment to the Bureau of Reclamation of fees associated with the Green River Block water rights as to form, and to allow the board officers to enter third-party contracts as the obligation arises.
Okay, we have a motion from Board Member Steed. Is there a second? is seconded by Board Member Ibsen. We'll do roll call vote.
Board Member Van Horn,
Aye.
Board Member Merkley,
Abstain.
Board Member Ibsen,
Aye.
Board Member Tennert,
Aye.
Board Member Steed,
Aye.
Board Member Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Okay. Director's report, the important stuff.
Yes.
Director Hassenjager, please.
You know, I've talked to a number of people, and they're like, well, I used to think summers were like a quiet time. And I looked at them, I was like, I don't know if there's any quiet time anymore. Feels like there's always something. So every time I give my director's report, I feel like I'm always saying, well, there's a lot going on. But continues to be a lot going on. This week is interim week, and so we had a number of legislative meetings. Our friend Board Member Steed gave multiple presentations, which he did a great job. I was able to present at the Legislative Water Development Commission about turf and water-wise landscaping. There is this ongoing question about the state's effort to transition our landscapes from mainly lawn and grasses to water-wise landscaping and the potential implications of that. So I was able to be joined by Kelly Cope from USU, and she did a great job on talking about the benefits of lawn and grasses and the important research they're doing. And I feel like we're in really good alignment, because as a state, we've never said we don't want any grass. We just want it in the places it's used. So I think it overall went good, but there's still kind of this outstanding question of, and concern, I'll say, that when we say water-wise landscaping, we are talking about graveled landscaping. And I showed a picture and I was like, this is not what we want, right? We actually require, the state requires, if lawn is removed, that at least a 50% plant coverage goes back in, because we know the importance of reducing our heat island effect and those type of things, and the importance of plants in general. But there are better ways to do it through drip irrigation when irrigating those plants. And there still is issues with overhead spray, and which makes it a little challenging to, even when we talk about putting in water-wise or low water use lawns that have been developed, which are great, there are still issues with overhead spray. So I tried to articulate that. I also wanted both you all to know that we submitted 2 budget requests. One was, as Shalane alluded to, was a dam safety budget request, because that is a constant need that we have into the future. And then also potential incentives to incentivize water-wise landscaping for new construction. The other thing that I wanted to mention, and I'm sure you all are well aware of this, the state has now 100% of the state is currently in drought, and with a significant portion that is in the severe and extreme drought, which is not what any of us want to see. We had another hot, dry summer, maybe not record-breaking temperatures, but very, very dry. We've seen our reservoir storages drop from June 1st through August 1st. It was about double what it is in a typical year. So roughly a 19% drop, where we usually only drop about 8%. Yeah, and I mean, there's a number of reasons associated with that, right? We're seeing increased demand because of these hot, dry conditions, but also I think we had I'll say lackluster runoff. So we weren't, as we were drawing down the reservoirs, they weren't being filled like typical. And then, so soil moisture and reservoir conditions heading into this fall mirror those of 2020. I do know that our forecast shows some rain for next week, so here's hoping for that, for a good rain, even though I might be backpacking, but whatever it takes. I'll take one for the team is all I'm saying. A number of other items. We are, as you all know, are in the throes of the state water plan. It is due out the end of 2026. And I don't know about you guys, but there's all this things due around that time. The state water plan is one of them. We will be hosting public scoping meetings. We're calling them water talks. And they are starting very soon. The first one is next week on August 28th in Monticello, which I will attend. I'm going to attend as many as possible. I will not make it to all of them, but it's my goal to get to as many as I can. And these will run through October, so we can send you all a link to the water talks and would welcome your participation in any and all of them, but particularly ones that are of interest to you in your area. We are working actively with our agency partners to come up with assigning out sections and starting to get drafts. So we are still on target for our January 1st agency partner review. And of course, we'd love the board to have an opportunity to review it at that time. And then kind of the timeline goes is we'll update the draft with those edits, and then it'll go for a public review next summer. And then get us to that December 31st time period. So that's pretty exciting, all the things going on there. As far as conservation and our landscape incentive program and rebates, state funding and programs replaced about 3.2 million square feet of grass during the fiscal year 2025. And we could not do this without our district partners and the division staff who run these programs, so super grateful to them. We are continuing, as I mentioned at our last board meeting, doing the WaterWise landscaping series. We have one more scheduled. They're all recorded, so you can go back and watch them. But the next one is next week on August 27th, and it's called Winning the War on Weeds. And I feel like my personal need is to watch this video. As far as our water conservation plans, drafts for 39 systems were due back in July, and our staff member Josh is reviewing those and providing feedback. And then we're also still updating our weekly lawn watering guide every Friday. We have a number of outreach events. September 2nd and the 3rd, Manti Education Days. September 20th, Conservation Garden Park Birthday Party. September 20th, Sago Lily Fair, Fall Fair. And then we are hosting 3 different local scape classes, Smithfield, Richfield, and Brigham City. Cloud seeding is a big push and ongoing, and I'm so grateful every day for our meteorologist who's doing all of the work with that. I should also mention he started sending us Monday forecasts, so I'll ask him to add you guys to it. It's super interesting. He's pulling in, like, in history what kind of happened this year or this day in history and some of the notable things, so they're super interesting, so I'll ask him to add you to that list. But the big things that are going on is we have the big snowscape research is moving forward, so this is the deep dive into cloud seeding and putting in a bunch of equipment and monitoring. We're working with the University of Utah, Utah State University, and the National Center for Atmospheric Research to do this. So it's pretty exciting to see that and really trying to answer the, I don't want to say age-old question, but it's a little bit is, okay, so if we produce this extra precipitation, how much does that equate to runoff? And that big goal of this study is to understand that question. We're also planning field work for the environmental study. We get that question a lot too, is what are the environmental impacts of cloud seeding? There have been studies done in other states, but it is important to us to do one in Utah. So this will also be conducted in the next year. It'll be completed, and we'll be doing samples of seeded snow, stream flow, lake water, and lake bed sediment will be studied to try to get a handle on if there's any environmental considerations. We also have an operational program that is set to start November 1st, and we're expanding the Bear River Basin program, and actually the state of Idaho is looking to partner with us on that. This last legislative session, we were appropriated $3 million to do I'll say bigger effort in the Bear River Basin and to test some new technologies. So that will be ongoing, and you will get to hear in full detail next month. We'll have Jonathan Jennings, our meteorologist, come and present at our October board meeting. And a few other items, the Great Salt Lake Basin Integrated Plan is continuing to go forward as well. This once again has a little bit longer timeline. We have to be done by 2027 based on the legislation that was passed a number of years ago. We have hired, so we finished the work plan, as you are all well aware. We are hiring a planning consultant to help us develop scenarios and public outreach. We're working very closely with the Bureau on a modeling consultant to get that awarded and underway. And then we have a number of projects that we have already contracted for and well on their way, either nearing completion or already done. So it's exciting. We're also, one of the projects includes an evaporative loss study, which is monitoring the evaporation off of Great Salt Lake. And we're anticipating a draft report later in this year. So that will be really good. And then we also have the Unified Water Infrastructure Plan that we're working on as well. The deadline for that, to have that plan complete, is in March of next year. And that has been a massive effort. So super grateful for everyone who's been working on that. I've said at a number of meetings that it feels like we're building a plane while we're about to take off. Like, we're trying to figure all these things out, answer all these questions. And I just keep saying, at the end of the day, we're going to have to just be able to say, well, that's how we thought it was going to work, but we need to shift gears because we learn more things or test things out. One of the big things that I'm really excited about is we are working with the Governor's Office of Planning and Budget, as well as R6, which is a AOG kind of in the central part of the state. They have developed what they're calling the Utah Project Portal as a way for those in the area to submit projects to this portal. So we're going to utilize that pilot project that they developed, this portal, for the Unified Water Infrastructure Plan. So this will be a way for entities to be able to have a login, keep track of their projects, update them, and then at some point we'll say, okay, the cutoff to update your projects or to add new projects is such and such a date. And so it will be hopefully, something that's useful to them to help keep track of projects and add new projects, as well as us, that we have a way to collect that. So excited to be seeing that. We saw a demo yesterday and it looks really exciting. We are also working on the prioritization process through the Water Development Coordinating Council, and we are reviewing that information. And then we're going to so the next kind of stage with that prioritization process is to develop rules, but then take that out to the public to get public participation and feedback on it. So we have 4 scheduled public meetings, and we can get these out to you, but we'll be doing one in central, rural, northern, and the southern part of the state. So Provo, Duchesne, Brigham City, and Cedar City is kind of our targets, and we'll get those dates sent out to you. We have a Bear River Commission tour this Friday. The commission's meeting's not till November, but we get to do a tour, so that will be good. And then I just wanted to mention on the Colorado River, and Eric alluded to this, there is obviously some intense negotiations going on with the 7 basin states as well as the federal government, and they're entering some really crucial stages. The 2007 interim guidelines are set to expire the end of 2026, and the Secretary of Interior has notified the states that this administration expects to see an agreement in principle by November 11th, if there is any chance for this 7 basin states alternative to be included in the EIS process. To achieve this, the basin states are meeting so often, like weekly or every other week. They were just here in Salt Lake last week, and it's really hard. We have really difficult decisions in front of us on all sides, and it is a difficult time to try to address that. There are everyone is committed to continuing. It is just hard, I'll say that. In addition to the fast approaching date for the basic agreement, the Secretary has also indicated that they need a finalized formal agreement by February 14th, so Valentine's Day. And the Bureau has also indicated that if the basin states aren't able to come up with an agreement, then the federal government will come up with an alternative, and which may or may not be in the interest of the upper or lower division states. So that is my director's report. Happy to answer any questions or anything you guys want to add. I know you guys have a lot going on too.
Who's the cloud seeding expert?
Jonathan.
Who's the cloud seeding expert?
Jonathan Jennings is our meteorologist as well as our cloud seeding coordinator. And we have been very grateful to have him.
So he's who someone would call if they were interested in doing that?
Yep.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you, Director Hessen-Jaeger. Appreciate that information and all you do for the people of the state. Thank you. Are there any further issues, items to bring before the board today from the board? If not, the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.